then that's him with the photo, which is listed as right titty. You can make the assumption. And on one occasion, the Dooo making the creepy joke, "I waited until you were 18, unlike what Carson did, while mods were around." Today, I'm gonna be showing you guys some information in regard to a situation you probably haven't heard about. Earlier this month, there was a doc that was released by the victim of some grooming allegations from the Dooo, and it didn't look very legitimate. There wasn't a lot of concrete evidence surrounding it, and people like Tom Dark and myself had covered the information to a varying degree of certainty as to whether these were legitimate claims or not. The victim had said multiple times that they would be providing more information if needed, and then kind of went dark. After my video was released, I was reached out to by a few people that were working closely with the victim, Miss May. They told me that they had been working with her since she had released that initial document and had a lot more information to provide, further proving that what the Dooo was doing was grooming. A big example being that they had proof that he had a nude photo of her when she was underage that he kept on his phone until she turned 18, and then set it as her contact profile picture. Just to get this out of the way before we start, I've gone over this document about 3 times myself personally. I have some biases, I have some perceived judgment calls that I've already made. We're gonna go over them. I've got some criticisms of what's in this, but I'm gonna go over those points as we go across them and then at the end of the video as well. And just as a preface, some Reddit links might not be working anymore, which is why we added screenshots for context. For legal reasons, everything in this document is alleged. This information was given to us in a call before the victim of the situation had deleted a good chunk of it to protect herself from the death threats getting to a level where police got involved. For anyone not familiar that is seeing this document, Goons is the content creator friend group of the Dooo and includes Blarg, McNasty, and Soup. Just so we're all on the same page, this document is essentially just a timeline of everything that's happened leading up to this point, as well as including new information and evidence that wasn't initially in the first Google Doc, which we're going to get into shortly. August 24th, a cyber stalker accuses the Dooo of being a groomer in a Reddit post that also doxes the victim. The post gains traction. The post has since been removed by Reddit for doxing. Here's that post, obviously deleted, and then some people going back and forth. Here's the link to that being removed. August 24th and 25th. Dooo claims that the Reddit post was removed and that the allegations are false. He, 4 hours later, added to his first tweet. Ignore the timestamp being 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. We obviously don't share a time zone. The Dooo tweets, "For some reason, someone decided to make some false accusations about me on Reddit today. The post got quickly nuked by Reddit, but just wanted to clarify to any of my viewers that may have seen it that it is completely false. Harassment and threats are never acceptable in any situation. My previous tweet was only about a false Reddit post. That's the only problem here, no individual." So the Dooo is immediately starting with that none of this is true based off of what was initially provided, which again was not very much. August 25th and 26th. The victim of the situation posts that the only reason he can claim it's false is because he expected her to never speak out about it. The doxer also meticulously seems to follow every update of hers on social media, since he shortly after posted a link to the now deleted tweet of the victim on his Reddit account. Under that post, her comment is also stating that she did not consent to anything about her being shared. The girl had gotten death threats and was harassed in the time immediately following all of this. And then this was him saying she had made a public statement, which is now deleted. No, post got taken down because you were doxing someone who's supposed to be a victim. You shared information. You got shut down because you are appearing like a little clout goblin who wants to shut someone down. You're not doing anything for the right reason, and this post confirms that. She's made her own statement now, so she's fully aware and starting to speak out. Yeah, I saw, and guess what? It is clear from the statement that it is not your place to tell her story still. That does not give you or any others to irresponsibly tell the story and put her in further danger. And then he goes on to say, I've reached out to her and apologized for the statement, and she is aware that I have posted this tweet. Miss May, I was absolutely not made aware of any of this or the fact that you posted my tweet. While you may argue that my tweet is now public, please do not speak for me or even lie about getting permission. I have only spoken to my loved ones in regard to this situation, and even with them, I have not given them permission to speak on my behalf. So yeah, they just blatantly lied about, actually getting confirmation from her. September 2nd and 3rd, still receiving harassment, the girl hastily puts forward her own document outlining her story and some proof, stating that she can show more proof if needed. And then here's a photo since it was kind of taken down. Now we're gonna go over some key parts of the document, not everything, because again, I've already made a video where I go fully in depth, and it was at a time when that document still existed, closer to its original form. So if you have questions or want to see what was covered in that, I highly recommend going and checking out that video, but we'll hit a few key points here as well. So here's the mirror for it, because the first one did get taken down. It was pretty much showing that they had proof of interacting with the Dooo when they were younger, a few kind of, voice chats while underage, proof that they were being friends around 16, 17 playing games. This part where we're talking about the sleep call saga, which didn't actually really provide any evidence of them actually going to sleep in calls together or anything like that, just them saying that there was, but nobody was really convinced in regard to that aspect. And then a lot of attachments that ended up, by the time that even Tom Dark ended up putting a video out, most of these attachments were gone and removed. On the video that I made, I was actually able to download most of these before they were removed, so I was able to cover a few of them in the video, but it was just, you know, screenshots and pictures showcasing that they were best friends on Snapchat, things like that. Most specifically, it was showing these kinds of images while she was underage. This one was one in particular that really rubbed some people the wrong way, but I thought you loved me. Why was my name inappropriate? Currently crying in the car, etc., etc. I do listen, it wasn't inappropriate. Ricky changed it, and then she changed it to Eric Hart. Are you happy now? Another reason that she didn't provide more evidence, she states down here. I really don't want to leak the downloaded Discord logs because my address and his and both our full names and his face is in there. I'm not defending this initial document in pretty much any way. They put out a lot of, you know, proof that really didn't do what it was set out to do, and didn't have a lot of substantial evidence. I understand why they didn't want to include more, but again, in my initial video, I wasn't really disputing the fact that there is a lot that we can't confirm and a lot of evidence that isn't really supportive of the, you know, the claims that they were making. My biggest indicator that there might have been some validity to the claims that were being made, specifically, there were texts between Eric, or the Dooo, with the victim, going back and forth talking about how he was worried that legally what he had been doing was wrong and that he recognized that, as well as his mother also recognizing it, and pretty much manipulating and getting the victim into a headspace where if she were to go forward and bring to light any of what had happened, it would ruin his life and therefore be on her if she were to, you know, come forward with it. That seemed to me to be the most substantial evidence that was brought forth. But let's get back to the document. The evidence is a bit confusing and doesn't seem like much to some people, but it shows that the Dooo had sleep calls with her when she was underage and he was in his mid-20s. Sleep calls are inherently not platonic, especially not with this age gap. There was also a video that showed a Discord conversation between them where he pushed her to tell him that she loves him, also when she was a minor. The doc also shows that he started dating her the month after she turned 18. While on the surface level, people will say that it is legal, it doesn't negate that he had to have built significant levels of attachment with her for that to happen so quickly. Now you're going to notice that there are clear intentions behind the people that have written this document. Now a lot of these people are actually admins on the Doo's Discord server, specifically the Goon Discord server, which was already discussed about who's in that kind of group. A lot of these admins have attempted repeatedly to reach out to the Dooo, McNasty, as well as Blarg, who we're going to be talking about in depth a little bit later, with pretty much next to no response, if not a very bad response from Blarg, which again, we will get into. After all of the information that was provided by Miss May to these admins, they felt the need to compile this because they believe with quite a degree of certainty that what is happening did happen to Miss May, and the allegations that she's putting forward are true. So these admins definitely have an emotional, bias when it comes to this based off of what they've seen and the lack of action taken by a lot of the people involved or people that could actually do something and get involved. So while I'm not dismissing the arguments that they're making, I just want to be fully transparent and recognize that there is going to be that emotional bias that is leading them to these conclusions. But I do think that a few of these are supported by the evidence that we're going to see later on. More specifically, with the Dooo having sleep calls with her when she was underage, this first document does not do a good job of actually showcasing that fact. I'd asked about this specific point to a group of the people that were working on this document to get further information, and they let me know, as we're going to see here in a few moments, that there is now new and more supporting evidence that they were in calls where they were straight up just sleeping on call together. But I do agree that it was making the point that he was, getting her to say that she loved him when she was under 18, which is weird and, starting on that path of what is grooming. She claimed that she felt pushed to speak out after the doxer had put her in a position where her experiences were labeled as false allegations by the Dooo. I absolutely do not want this MF here. I never would have had to speak out if it wasn't for him. In the hours immediately after this post, a close friend of the victim and an ex-IRL friend of the Dooo also made a comment on this thread that was confirmed by a mod of that subreddit. We can also confirm who this is. His name is Ricky, and we have had direct contact with him and proof that he was a friend of the Dooo before finding out about all of this. And that proof is again going to be linked towards the end of the document. Now there's that photo of them grouped up together, which again I pointed out in the first video, but here is them speaking out. One of the people in the meetup picture late to the friend group, but I had known them for at least 5 years. I can tell you at the time of the photo, I had no knowledge of the nature of their relationship prior to her being 18, and upon finding out, I cut off my relationship with him. I have been supporting May for every step of the fallout of their relationship that she asked me to help her with, between crying and finally helping her cut him off. And when she was ready, I helped her tell the rest of the friend group. It's quite a bit disgusting that people want to find every way to discredit her, or some of you act like rats that want every nugget of information when someone was forced to speak out for themselves after such a terrible thing happened to her. But if anyone wants more clarification, they are more than welcome to DM me and I'll try my best to answer. Again, being that we can't just vet everyone that's involved in this situation, as hurtful as I am sure this is to the people that know the victim and, are much closer to the situation, from the outside perspective looking in, none of this was really enough to actually support evidence of what had been going on being as bad as it was, to the degree that it was, with the information we'd seen so far. This person, through a throwaway account, was confirmed by a Goon's Discord staff member as the person in the picture referenced. Knowing this person's name, it was also verifiable that they had been referenced in messages on Dooo, the Doo's Discord server, around the time that it was under a year old. The next morning, the victim made comments claiming several people could corroborate the information. As of right now, I have 8 people, the number is growing as people wake up, who can corroborate my side of things with their own set of proof and conversations that I wasn't there for as well. In regards to the friends that cut him off, 2 out of 4 are willing to speak up publicly, while the other 2 do not because their online aliases link back to their real name and personal information, but are willing to speak out if absolutely necessary. She also went into more detail about there being an 8-year age gap and that some claims of her faking evidence are wild considering she can't just dox the Dooo. I'm probably going to get yelled at for commenting this by my loved ones and the ones trying to protect my mentals, so I don't know how long this is going to stay up. For clarification, please keep this in mind, this man is 8 years older than me. When we met, I was 15 and he was 23. Never once was he around the same age as me as some people keep saying. I never ever wanted to come out about this because I carry a lot of trauma regarding this and a lot of shame. I believe that I should have acted differently, I should have never engaged in anything, and I have fault in this, no matter how much anyone else tells me I don't. I literally told this man in screenshots that you all can see about him being worried that this can ruin his career 10 years down the line, that I loved him and I would never do this to him. Yet here I am doing it. In my documents, I never called him a groomer and I never called him anything else because I'm still struggling to label myself. How am I going to label him publicly before I can even look at myself? I don't want to be known as a victim. I don't want this to be out there. I don't want to have those who love me be disappointed in me or ashamed of my actions when I was a child or freshly 18. I didn't know any better. The other people in this photo have commented publicly, yet I'm a liar and a whore and I should be honor killed because I spoke out about something in which someone was leaking without my consent and threatening to release more if I chose not to speak out myself, which already led me to getting death threats. But when they speak out, suddenly it's true? How is that fair? When this whole entire Discord server, which he is in himself and he runs, is agreeing with me because my situation has been floating in there for years since it happened. Don't believe me? Go check yourself. Want to know why I didn't come out sooner? I am afraid. I still am. I can barely handle receiving a flood of death threats at the current age of 23. You thought I could handle it at 18? Back then I didn't have the support system I did now. Not only that, I am afraid of him. I have panic attacks at the idea of his name being dropped. Hell, after his old friend group cut him off, I had a panic attack at seeing his name as a profile in Super Smash Bros. Still there. This hurts me so badly because for the longest time I felt guilty because I thought his friends cut him off because of me, not because our relationship was wrong. No matter how many times they told me it was because he had done something wrong and even said inappropriate things about me to them without my knowledge. Do you know how terrible it is to see people you've known for 2 years cut off their closest friend because of you? Someone they've known for at least 5 to 8 years? It's terrible. I genuinely wish I never met him and I sometimes wish I wasn't here at all. Y'all don't have to believe me. That's okay. Go around and check his very public Discord servers. Go ask the commenter who is pinned on this post saying he's one of the people in the photo. By the way, he has proof that it is more than just that photo or videos of them together and photos of them together without me in there. Go ask his current mod team who is there long enough. And finally, for those of you saying, well, we don't know if it's him in those photos, what do you want me to do? I leak his face, I'm damned. I don't leak his face, I'm a liar. At this point, am I supposed to just leak the man's face and act like an angel when I've been preaching that the only reason I came out is because my privacy got breached? What am I supposed to do? Y'all will never be happy with what I come out with anyways, so tell me, I can't be everyone's perfect victim. That's just not possible. This post itself had got me into, believing the sincerity of the victim more than pretty much anything else. The way that they talk about this and the way that they talk about the experience just completely lines up with somebody that has gone through an abuse like this, who has gone through grooming. The same kind of guilt and shame that they feel in regard to it is something that I can personally relate to from my own experience and from knowing, the information that's provided. So it's a personal reason as well as, my own bias kind of impacting this. So please take this opinion with that knowledge and understanding of my bias. But it's very hard for me to see the other side of this being that the person that's writing all of this doesn't believe it, didn't experience it, and is, faking it. It just comes off as like very reasonable points that they would have made had they gone through this situation as to why they wouldn't have spoken out about anything else, in regard to the document that they had posted already. But let's continue on. During this time, a Goon's Discord staff member and an additional party that had contact with the victim previously attempted to establish contact via the friend that the subreddit mod had verified under the Reddit post, Prudent Manner 9012. This is the information that she wasn't comfortable sharing publicly online. The Goon's Discord staff member that had a direct line to Blarg tried to initiate the setup of such a call. In case you guys didn't know, this is Blarg. They are part of that Goon squad, I believe, and here's a video with them doing some content with the Dooo. Initially, Blarg seemed open to a call. Here's that back and forth. Good to know. I would definitely value talking to them. Wouldn't want them to be intimidated, so probably wouldn't invite anyone else. And then the mod said, I think the call would just be myself, the other mod who's in contact with the victim herself, and the witness. But I can relay that you're interested and the other person can schedule things up with us and we can relay back. Would that be okay? But shortly after he claimed all proof should be public and that he won't join a call. The mod says, I think it's more focusing on how they interacted while she was a minor. I think she'd probably be able to explain it better than I can as a third party. I genuinely believe her speaking firsthand could be more solid than a document, plus there may be more she hasn't said. Matt/Blarg responded, I mean, feel free to read the twit longer for yourself. I haven't even talked to Dooo. I am literally looking at this from a third-party perspective, not getting any sides from anyone. All I saw was a goofy-ass Snapchat, Discord calls with other people, gaming nights, and being in the same community. If she's going to post a huge allegation, then she needs to post all her huge proof. I shouldn't have to join a private call to hear. The world should absolutely know he is a predator if he is. The mod responded, I get what you mean. In my opinion, the Discord things were more supposed to be proof that the texts he and she exchanged were real, as a lot of people will discredit it since Dooo is a content creator and she's just coming out with this now. A lot of people tend to immediately jump to saying that things are faked pretty quickly. I do think, however, that there could be more she didn't share since it may have his actual identity. And I know that a call is mostly to have an extra person who is also there during the situation to corroborate and confirm things she says. The Goons mod then went into a call with the victim to see more of the proof and started being the middleman for some messages between the victim and Blarg. Once that call ended, the mod put emphasis on how helpful a call would be again. Blarg's reaction was once again negative. Blarg says, getting in a call with a bunch of people who don't like someone doesn't exactly bring much value to a pretty objective situation in my opinion. And then the mod responds, I think that having them there because they also were his friends and kind of involved might prove beneficial, but I get what you mean with like emotional bias. Now I also understand emotional bias, but what I don't understand, and which we will again get into more, is that this assumption that just because the people don't like the Dooo, that just kind of like discredits whatever they bring forward. Like, number one, why don't they like him? Is there like a good reason for it? And number two, what does their bias have anything to do with evidence that would support the fact that he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing with her? I get that you can kind of frame things to look bad, but if you're taking a look at it objectively, I don't really think that they can do much outside of just provide the evidence, and you can figure out for yourself if it's just framed a certain way. But anyway, here's proof of that call going on, and I believe this is Miss May. Okay, great. I do want to also state I completely get Blarg's point of view, but I'm not trying to ruin Eric's life. It was either me coming out myself or some random dude with a vendetta. I just wanted the death threats to stop, ready to call when you are. Then Snurdo says, I get you. I'm a bit foggy on how exactly it got leaked entirely since I don't follow or support Eric. And then they said, honestly, and I get why you did it. And then, all right, let me hop into my computer. And then they had a call for 3 hours. And then the Goons mod was able to connect the two by having them follow each other on Twitter to talk directly. And so this is a Reddit post that someone put out saying that they had noticed that Blarg followed the Doo's victim on X. And then Blarg actually responded, bruh, hop off, stop harassing people, was just a way for her and I to communicate. The friends of May being the victim, some of whom are server OGs of Doo's server, sat in a call together with a member of the Goons staff team and a person that has been helping that staff member in all of this chaos. All people present in that call watched the DM interaction between Blarg and the victim. In one of his first responses, he denied a call again, wording it like her friends being present would make the call biased. Blarg says, "I have no intentions of ever covering something or supporting someone who has done something extremely inappropriate. I have a bunch of things about this that I'm going to confront Eric about, sleep calls being one of them. I at no point said that there wasn't things I disagree with him doing in here. There are plenty of things I plan on discussing with him and making sure he understands how I feel about them and that he should be made aware so he can make sure it never happens again. I agree that there was some stuff that was definitely odd and I personally wouldn't do. May, I can absolutely promise you that I have no intent to ever cover someone's ass. I was one of the first people to reach out to one of Craig's victims after it happened to make sure that they knew that even Craig's closest friends had her back. As for talking to a bunch of people in a call who don't like Eric, I'm not sure what I could gain from that unless they somehow have screenshots or something of him saying he wants to do sexual things with you while you were 17. For those who don't know, Craig is Mini Lad, and that was that allegation, but that's the Craig that they're referencing in this message. She went on to send him 2 images as proof that Dooo had inappropriate pictures of her on his phone when she was underage. She sent a screen cap, censored, that showed the date of the original image and an image of Dooo making it his contact picture for her when she was around 18. More about that later in this document. She stated it was a sexually explicit image when Blarg asked if it was a nude, and she offered to screen record it to prove its legitimacy as well as provide more evidence as well a bit later in the conversation. Blarg responded, stating that he would add it to the list of things to bring up to Dooo. Blarg did not react to the offers for more proof from the victim. This is May saying to Blarg, "Thank you for letting me know. Once again, if you ever want to get more info, I can show you via screen share or you can talk to his ex-friends alone. Nobody truly hates him, they just hate what he did." Blarg responds, "That's reasonable. I would seriously hope he feels the same way and is able to acknowledge it and never let it happen again." May said, "I know it's hard to believe when I wouldn't 100% believe someone who wouldn't put everything out, but at this point with the photo, I'm hoping you at least understand that this is grooming. If you need proof that he sent that contact photo to me and it's not from some random number, I can show you that it is his number and the image was sent from that number. I have nothing to hide from you at the end of the day." The entire conversation long, Blarg made it sound like if Eric owned up to it in private that it would make it less bad. Blarg says, "Well, I appreciate you sharing everything. Again, Eric's reaction to all this really matters to me. I hope he's able to admit fault where there is some and then move on with his life and you're able to move on with yours." Blarg has also turned down the offer the victim proposed of sending a screen recording and sharing all this evidence live numerous times. She openly and repeatedly offered to prove that none of the photos or other pieces of evidence were fake or doctored. Blarg never asked for more proof, simply stating that speaking with her was enough for him. And this is that mod talking to Blarg again. Could have biased opinions. I'll reiterate, I still think it's good to hear them out since they know both parties. And then Blarg responding, "I've heard from May, that's really all I need, to be honest." Now, up until this point, at the very least, Matt/Blarg has been able to, have a conversation and try to get some information. He's been a little dodgy about it, but can you completely blame him for that fact? I don't really think so. It unfortunately gets worse. September 6th. During this time, a YouTuber of the name Tom Dark uploaded a video looking at the proof that was out up until this point. It gained enough traction to make the involved goon staff try one last time to suggest a call to Blarg. This time, his refusal was a resounding absolutely not. From the mod, alright, so Tom Dark posted a video about the doc that is picking up steam, and honestly, at this point, it could even hurt May. I know she sent you proof of Dooo getting an explicit picture from her when she was 16, and that might already be enough for you, and if yes, then you ignore the rest of this message, LMAO. I also know there is more story and evidence she mentioned to us that illustrates the whole process of the grooming better. That's why people have been pushing for a call so much, because obviously she would never feel comfortable putting that out there. As a reminder, blank blank blank, essentially make blank blank blank. Blarg responds, "I would strongly recommend all of you removing yourselves from all of this until Dooo says something. I'm absolutely not getting in a call with anyone. Please stop asking." Now, to also point out with Tom Dark's situation and how he, went through the information that was presented, I don't blame him. At the time that he, went through the document, over half of the attachments were completely gone. And so he really had almost nothing to work with on top of the document already with some of the information and evidence that was provided. Wasn't a resounding, this absolutely happened with, irrefutable evidence. So I can completely see why they were a bit worried, and given the fact that Tom Dark and, anyone else that went over that document had no other information, like the nude photo that they're talking about right now, it was going to damage May even more, potentially increasing the amount of death threats that were being thrown her way, and just impacting her mental health more severely than it already had been. I don't want this to get misconstrued, because this doesn't to me come off as we're going to lose the lie, or we're not not going to be able to convince people that this happened because we don't have the evidence. It's more like we don't have the evidence out right now. And someone like you who, has seen this information would be a very big help to get out and share this story. But that didn't happen. A couple of hours later, he unfollowed both the victim and the Goon's Discord staff member on Twitter without explanation. This explanation followed a day after his final refusal on the evening of September 9th, when he claimed in a comment underneath a related Reddit thread that he was able to prove that the evidence she sent him was fake. Here's that message. Okay, I was absolutely not going to talk about this due to their own request, but they gave me a piece of evidence that I took their word for and said I would approach Dooo about it. This entire interaction happened before I talked to Dooo about anything. I later fact-checked that evidence extremely objectively using things anyone can Google and without Doo's involvement whatsoever. If they decide to show what this evidence is, you can Google dates for yourself on when certain things were available on iPhones. This evidence I was shown was fake/manipulated, so that is when I cut ties with them. This comment never explains what makes him think that the images he was sent are fake or doctored. Blarg was sent 2 images. One of them was an explicit image the victim had sent the Dooo when she was 17. The image was taken when she was 16. The other image was of the Dooo making the lewd picture a contact picture when she was 18. It was there to show that the Dooo had that image saved for a large chunk of time before using it. Blarg has not given a specific reason as to why he believes these images were fake and or doctored to begin with, only making a general comment about iPhone features. All suspected reasons that he would believe this evidence to be faked can easily be disproved with the known fact that the victim and the Dooo both used Apple's iOS beta functions. This is further explored in this document later. We have seen 1, the picture's original date, May 4th, 2018 at 11:40 p.m. with her being 16 at the time, the time frame it was sent on Snapchat a couple months later with her being 17, and the fact that the Dooo made it his contact image for her on October 10th, 2019. When she was only 3 months into being 18. The victim was open to show us that she had never sent the image to him on iMessage since the Dooo only started using an iPhone in 2019, which can be seen in his videos. Anything sent before their interactions via iMessages would not have been sent by her as a minor. Anything sent before their interactions via iMessages would have been sent by her as a minor. We also got to see their Discord chat logs, which showed the image not being sent there either, so it had to have been the original image sent on Snapchat when she was 17 that was saved by the Dooo on Snapchat back then, transferred to his iPhone, and then made into a contact image in October of 2019. Unfortunately, since both the Dooo and the victim have each other blocked, there is no access to the Snapchat history itself. She showed us that in a call too, which you can see in this video. Let's take a look at that.
Chat with Ricky. As you can see in this corner, it says the Dooo. And I'm gonna click on this group chat. It's called Fuckers, and then I'm gonna scroll to the members. You can see the first person in this group chat is Eric. I don't have him added, and he doesn't have me added. If I try to go to our chat, I can't. I'd have to. Like our chat is gone. Sorry, here. He's still active on the Snapchat, as you can see from this little thing. But our chat is gone, but this is a group chat with him and other people. Like he's typed in this. Like this was our little group chat in here. That's at least the Snapchat. Like I can't access our chat and he can't access our chat anymore because we like essentially unadded and blocked each other. So there's that.
Either way, knowing he initially received it when she was 17 means he knew what he was putting as his contact image for her, an explicit image of a minor. The victim has stated she's attempting to contact with Snapchat in an effort to receive the chat logs between her and the Dooo from before late 2019. And then this is May saying, October 10th, 2019, sent the contact photo after I sent him other photos. For context, the other photos in this case were Snapchats that were described in the iMessage chat, which we could see in our call with the victim, and part of which is in the Google Drive folder, Dooo having explicit image of minor saved on Snapchat for 2 years. And the descriptions in the chat from that day that we saw do not match the picture he made the profile pic, further backing up that it was originally sent when she was 17 and had been saved since that time. So here we have a Google Drive showing those photos. And so this is the first one, October 10th, 2019. So when, this ended up getting updated, I'm gonna have to open those later, open it now, or I'm gonna delete them, open it, take the risk. You want her to like you, right? And that's where that's continuing. Make sure she doesn't see it then, fine. Why? I don't have anything. Do you want more? I sent them. Did you already open them? Then click out. I'll send them again. There's nothing. It says you opened. And then that's him with the photo. which is listed as right titty. You can make the assumption. This will be useful later too, but this is showing the bottom of her iMessage gallery. And then this is another pretty key piece here. This is going to show the updated contact photo, and she's going to go through the iMessages to pull it up. It goes through the photos, scrolls down. And this is the screenshot showing of when he had sent that photo, that screenshot of the contact through iMessages at that time. And then this is May saying, hey, it's going to take some time for me to find the exact date that Eric made that photo my contact photo, but I can show the date it was saved. I can tell you Eric made that photo my contact photo when we were dating, so after I was 18. Here are the DMs with Blarg. Here's the date the photo was saved. The screen recording of my DMs with Blarg is sending. Unfortunately, for the exact date it's saved, I don't have, as I showed Ozzy, I can't go back to my Snapchat with Eric as he unadded me. I can't even see our saved messages. I can go on call and show that I can't go through our Snapchat history anymore if they'd like more proof. And so that's the video we saw earlier. And then this is that video showing what we had just seen earlier. And then here's a clear photo of that explicit image showcasing the original timestamp for it was May 4th of 2018. I'm zooming out just so we can read the names of these. So this is proof of when he made a lewd image of her from when she was a minor. So someone had sent this to Miss May. Okay, on iMessage, when you go to contact, then you press their name and stuff. So it was pretty much like a, how do we get to where we can see the timestamp? And so then Miss May seemingly replied after getting that info, October 10th of 2019, saying that's when the contact photo was set. And then this is a screenshot from the phone of when they had scrolled all the way down. And that's what we're talking about when we go and see when they scrolled all the way down. You can see the, Dope Island, I believe is his name. I can't remember. And then, these photos, which do line up with the screenshotted image right here, showing that. You can see that face and then the hearts and whatnot. So it does match up. And this is that exact date again being shown over that video call, May 4th of 2018, which lines up with the screenshot. And then I can give you all the HTML file of my DMs with Eric too. The photo is from May of 2018. Eric had the photo, added context, sent to him when she was firmly 17. After I turned 18, I wasn't sending photos around of when I was underage because I knew the legal implications. If I'm 100%, I don't think Eric had an iPhone when I sent the photo, which is why we used Snap originally. Otherwise, the photo would have been sent on iMessage with the other ones. The photo was transferred from his Samsung if I'm correct. I can double check. You can also see I never sent the photo over iMessage. Back to the document. In response to Blarg's Reddit comment, the victim even sent the video proof for at least the contact image part, which of course also involved them censoring. And again, the video that was sent to Blarg was that one showing the image that was screenshotted of the new contact photo from Eric. Now at this point, based off of Blarg's credibility, and in fact, if you go through this document and go to where he makes the post saying that he believes that that evidence he was shown was fake, a lot of people are like, oh, that's so good to hear coming from Blarg, because they're so trustworthy and honest in regard to these things, which genuinely impacted my understanding of the situation when I saw their response. I didn't really know Blarg, but it was really based off of how many people were saying, okay, well, that actually gives me faith about this situation because of how much people respect Blarg and his thoughts on these things. Well, there is a lot to suggest that Blarg messed up and didn't do his research. He still has not explained what specifically about the proof is making it fake to him, especially since it would need to explain how both images he sent were fake. However, he based the fakeness, we assume, on the iOS 13 update, with both the Dooo and the victim using Apple Beta. The first public beta of iOS 13 started a month before the victim turned 18. So Blarg using that as definitive proof of the evidence being fake is shaky at best. More than that though, if he based it on specifically dark mode, Smart Invert was a feature for iOS 11 and 12 too, even with him not personally understanding that it was a contact image down the line in October of 2019, the explanations he is probably using to claim it as fake are not definitive proof of fakeness or being from after she turned 18. Extra proof of the Dooo having an Android prior to around the time the victim turned 18 are in this Google Drive folder. And then this is the iOS and disproving Blarg's claims. Let's take a look at that. And then here's them talking through. Miss May says he said iPhone features, and then these are some of the admins that were talking. Yeah, but like that's a shitty response considering iOS beta functions. I went through every iOS update from 2016 to 19 and the match, including beta. And then Rayo said Ozzy on that researcher. And then Miss May saying he always been on beta, by the way. In fact, I'm on beta right now, and I can show you when I signed up for beta tester. This is a screenshot from that Apple beta thing. Even May herself says the first thing I have from Apple beta looks like the iTunes one from 2018. But take that with a grain of salt. I'm still looking. As we see here, what they're going off of, they just, key searched it, Apple beta, and then they see from iTunes in 2018, learn about what's new for Apple in education. It doesn't reference the beta itself specifically. So again, they're saying take it with a grain of salt. But from what we understand in the beta programs, every feature that was shown in the photos was included in those betas leading up to when they actually released. So being in the beta program is a legitimate reason for why we would have seen those, different versions like the dark mode and stuff prior to those updates actually coming out. And then here's some pictures showing that he was using a Samsung Galaxy. I know because I actually had the exact same phone case myself when I had Android. And then here's Miss May. Sorry, but listen, you have an Android. And the first thing that popped into my mind was that emoji in the Android version. And then the dude said, wow, you're going to make fun of my phone like that? Actually kind of gay because you have an Android. So this is just reiterating the fact that he had an Android even back in 2018, just getting that timeline down. After Blarg went public, claiming the evidence is fake, the victim reached a tipping point and tapped out of discussing this further in public due to the death threats getting to a point where she had to get police involved to make sure she and her loved ones were safe. But she gave everyone that she is close to and knows about her past a green light to talk about it, which is one of the main reasons we're writing this document. Obviously, we still respect her wishes to keep some of the proof that could dox her or others out of this document. Now, I'd just like to say that I totally understand where Blarg is coming from to look into this, and if they found out that it was, something to be discredited, that it was fake or doctored, that you should come out and say that. I totally get that side of things. But what I don't understand is that when given a piece of evidence that you believe to be doctored or faked going off of a quick Google search, which clearly wasn't well researched already, you repeatedly denied having any further information brought to you on grounds of some really shallow excuses of counterpoints, being that, well, these people don't like the Dooo, or, it just doesn't seem very, very conducive, or that honestly, just hearing from the victim was enough. It's not. And I'm getting a little uppity about it, but there's a lot at stake. Like someone getting constant death threats because you co-signed this idea that what they presented was fake, when that can't even be, proven. But your word means something to the people that are a part of this community. The nicest assessment that I can make about your actions in this situation is that you were a complete dumbass. Because the worst thing would be that you were given multiple opportunities to see any other evidence, of which you also could have gone over, with the same very fine-tooth comb that you used for this piece, and figured out that the rest of it was also fake. But you didn't do that. You denied multiple calls under some pretty stupid pretenses, and then followed up by saying that it was fake without even proving why it was fake, which would not have exposed that person in any way, shape, or form, because you're not including what the content of that image was. You're just proving how you figured out it was fake. You didn't do that either, which also just comes off as really stupid. And after, going so long and in repeated messages saying, I really care about getting this information if it ends up being true out, for you to just, close the door on some really stupid, armchair research that you did on Google, and to just completely, tune yourself out from any other evidence that could have been provided to you, given multiple opportunities, I have no other assumptions to make that at the best, you're a complete moron that has handled this in the absolute worst way possible. Now, I am led to believe, based off of what I've seen, that time and time again, you just made the stupidest decision possible. And that's really all I'm willing to entertain, because I just... Truly, I don't know what you're saying behind closed doors to anyone else, but based off of how you reacted to the people that did reach out to you, we're just going to take the route and say that you're just a colossal moron. September 10th. Shortly after Blarg's claims, the person helping the Goon staff members out in this situation made a Twitter thread outlining the lack of proactivity from Blarg and McNasty. It includes images of Blarg refusing a call 4 different times, in addition to putting a lot of the situation into perspective for people who have only seen the Reddit posts up until this point. This is one of those people that you've seen a few times going out on Twitter. Okay, let's get this straight, Blarg. After the document of May dropped, you denied a call on 4 occasions and have done zero work trying to even get info such as from, for example, the Doo's current admin team, who would have corroborated May's info. You got 1 piece of info, were offered more, and instantly acted like you didn't need to see more. I don't think you understand how many people have seen May's side of things at this point. We all see that you just want your bro innocent. The moment Goon's Discord mods found out, one of them got in a call with the victim and saw all the evidence you would have seen if you got it together and joined a call like anyone else that claims time and time again to stand with victims. More about the call topic below. May offered you a screen recording to prove what she sent you is real. You declined. She sent you a Snapchat screenshot showing the date of the pic you were given was when she was 16, and you based the fakeness of it on I have yet to know. I'll not post the pics of that whole DM interaction between you and May on here, but a full call of people was there to see that happen. And this is what May said less than a day ago. First of all, the messages were sent in my Discord server, which someone from there has leaked it here. Second of all, I offered multiple times to show you proof of me scrolling through our messages to show you this wasn't edited or manipulated as you so claim it to be. Never once did you take me up on that offer. All I did was scribble out the photo in which you can see intimate parts of my body and show you the date that it was saved on Snapchat and the fact that he had it. I truly don't care what Eric has told. At the end of the day, a photo of my 16-year-old body is wrong, and he had a photo of it on his phone. Because you were unwilling to hop in a call with me, your mods hopped in a call with me, and I scrolled through endless messages with them to show I wasn't lying, nor did I fabricate anything. Just for good measure, here is 4 times you've declined the call, and your reasoning already showing that you were in favor of it not being true all along. Screenshots for number 2 right after the first pic in this tweet are in the next tweet. In total, these were across approximately 3 days. And then here's the first, third, and fourth time. So this was in reference to the, feel free to read the twit longer. I haven't even talked to the Dooo. I'm literally looking at this from a third-party perspective, not getting any sides from anyone. And then I shouldn't have to join a private call to hear her. This is the third one, I believe. I have no intentions of ever covering something up, blah, blah, blah. And then it was at the very bottom. As for talking to a bunch of people in a call who don't like Eric, I'm not sure what I could gain from that unless they somehow have screenshots or something of him saying he wants to do sexual things with you while you were 17. And then the fourth one that we saw recently, I would strongly recommend all of you removing yourselves from all of this until the Dooo says something. I'm absolutely not getting in a call with anyone. Please stop asking. And then this is the context for number 2. The second time you refused was after your mod got into a call with the victim after asking the first time for a call, saw some evidence, and tried to tell you again that a call would help. Your reaction is partially understandable, but also wild. As of now, I see no reason to interview them. If I see something that challenges my current opinion, I will be there faster than anyone. I've dropped friends from this before and have publicly ridiculed them, and this would be absolutely no different. And then they respond, all right, thank you for your quick responses. I'll relay this to the other mod who is in contact with the other party. And here it is. If she feels like there's something I should really see that goes beyond what was shown, she can reach out and DM me privately on Twitter. Other than that, I wish her the best and hope she can finally move on and leave this baggage behind. Thank you very much for relaying. I'm very sorry you got mixed up in that, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And they said, getting in a call with a bunch of people who don't like someone doesn't exactly bring much value to a pretty objective situation, in my opinion. The contact person even explained the other ex-friends of Eric might have beneficial information. Those people wouldn't have yelled at you. They are average dudes like you that have seen Eric's behavior. As simple as that. They just want this resolved as well. The thing is, you don't just refuse the call 4 times. You literally agreed to it at the very start before doing a 180 and demanding all evidence to be public. This is the 180 that was pulled in under 4 hours after the mod trying to set up the call the first time they asked. Good to know. I would definitely value talking to them. Wouldn't want them to be intimidated, so probably wouldn't invite anyone else. 4 hours later is that the Dooo thing, and we had seen this message already, so it's just more showcasing that. I get the idea that all evidence should be public, but we're talking about explicit images, chat logs with personal info, and more here. A bit bad to have that on the internet forever, don't you think? Plus, you knew the other reasons why not everything was instantly put public. And just to get this clear, I found someone talking about her case before it was public, and because I talked to her and took a call with her, I've seen and heard more than enough of the information to know it's true. I was in a call with her when the Docs Redditor posted. I've essentially been here since a couple days before it blew up. Most of the Doo's server OGs are with her. Majority of Goon's server staff are with her. Me, someone who works with this stuff in a different community and knows what grooming looks like, is with her. I've never seen someone so vehemently deny a call to get full information. Genuinely. I had literal perpetrators hop in a call with me faster in my social work to admit their shit. It's frankly crazy to be offered more so many times, deny it, and then claim the victim is faking. Also, please explain how McNasty, who's been reached out to as well by his full Discord staff team, didn't even try to find out more. Y'all didn't put any work in to empathize or fully listen to the girl. You acted like you wanted it to be fake from the start. I understand that May's doc can be confusing, but that doesn't negate that a mid-20s guy had sleep calls with a 16 to 17-year-old, that he had inappropriate pictures of a 16-year-old saved on Snapchat, and that he messaged her that he had feelings for her for months, only 1 month after she turned 18. She had been open to a call. All her friends, who are ex-friends of Eric, offered to be there both as emotional support and to corroborate some of the information. The mods in question were open for a call because they saw the evidence. You, Matt, refused full clarity. Never call yourself someone that's on the side of victims again, because someone on the side of victims would have seen all the evidence several days ago in a call, because some things don't belong in the internet, and often those biased calls are what clears these cases. In fact, I work with this shit in part of the music industry. 90% of it usually depends on clarity calls. That's a normal thing to do when evidence can't be posted publicly for various reasons. You're supposed to get both sides' full biased takes before sifting for facts. Honorary mention for this because you genuinely act like the one thing she sent you was the only thing when she offered more on several occasions, and then said that what you got was fake based on phone features. And again, I've heard from May that that's really all I need, to be honest, and then the post that he had made. And then following up, note, this thread was made with the consent of the victim, the friend currently helping her making decisions while she's obviously going through it, and the person who tried to create contact between Blarg and the victim 3 times. This thread wouldn't be posted if you didn't assume based on iPhone features that her evidence was false and unfollowed both the victim and the person putting you in contact, because we had more than enough people to put you in contact with to back up the accusations. So once again, call would have made this simpler. Me, some mods, and several of the friends of the victim are still down to talk. The girl herself deserves a break after 2 weeks of nonstop hate since the doxer on Reddit posted the first bits of her story. I genuinely hope this can still be resolved because everyone else who has seen the full proof can certainly tell there was no manipulation to what you were sent. I can literally privately list you people to reach out to. I don't know how else to get across to you that it ain't fake. I'm open to deleting this entire thing, but I'd like to hear a full explanation first for why you didn't take the call, why you think what you got sent is fake, and why you are ignoring the sheer amount of ex-mods that have seen Eric's inappropriate behavior with May. That's it. In case you guys had any trouble following along, they also have Google Drive folders showing all of the screenshots from their messages between each other that you can go through at your own rate as well. It can be seen that in total, Blarg declined encouragements and straight up requests/asks for a call with the victim and ex-IRL friends of the Dooo 5 times. It can also be seen that the victim offered more proof twice in their DMs without pushing for a call, once for the specific images she sent and once offering more in general. We had seen it earlier, but it was the thanks you for letting me know again, and I can screen share and show you, more. Here's where we get to more of the evidence. We've collected some of the things that Blarg would have seen if he had agreed to join the call. Obviously, there are some things we cannot share because they aren't for the public. However, we want to outline just how much Blarg declining a call is directly connected to the victim being dismissed unfairly when there is more than enough proof of grooming that she would have shown to Blarg with her giving full context for each piece of evidence. Alrighty, flirting and inappropriate closeness. A telltale sign of grooming a minor is flirting with them and building a close attachment with them. This can include, like in this case, giving the minor inappropriate nicknames, asking them to say I love you, and giving them insight into family matters. While flirting to many is not a crime, a pattern of small actions that shouldn't happen between an adult and a minor is still very much the beginning of a grooming relationship. So let's go through the instances of flirting. We're gonna go over a few, but not all. The yardstick joke, so let's take a look. All right, fine, I'll start sending you memes. You'll love them. Keep in mind, this is 7/6 of 2018. So she was a minor. May says, LMFAO, I'm just pulling your leg. I don't really care about memes or anything like that. Then the Dooo said, don't touch my leg. And then May said, okay, listen here, thought I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot long pole. The Dooo said, yeah, but you ever seen a yardstick? And then cuts off. Now when Miss May is 18, it's the Dooo saying, nah, it's just having a yardstick is giving me back pain. And then figuring out what the context for the joke was. Although I'm sure you can already understand. The Dooo, have you ever seen a yardstick before? Then hand soap, bingo. Then again, have you ever seen a yardstick before? You can make the assumption. That was them doing that when they were a minor. And then here is this video of him pretty much coercing her to say, I love you to him. We went over it in the first video. Again, watch it at your own time. It's 43 seconds. We're just going to go to other instances. Here's another one we'd seen earlier. This is the Dooo, but I thought you loved me. Why was the name inappropriate, etc., etc. I do listen. It wasn't inappropriate, Ricky changed it, and then they changed it back to Eric with a heart. This is just showcasing the timestamp that was uploaded at, which was September 29th, 2018, which means they were a minor. Then here's another one of, again, in 2018, meaning they were fully a minor. You love me, I know. Then another one, I gave you so much love, and just sending a bunch of hearts to them. Again, I believe in this one as well, since they say that they were born July of 2001, that it's possible that they were 16 in this one. And this one is the Dooo sending a screenshot of May saying, if this helps, there's a little bit of positivity. Her being nice to him, sends back a heart, and then said, you love me, don't even pretend, and then knew it. There's more of this you love me stuff. Calls them a precious little demon. This is also proof of the Dooo recognizing that they are a minor. Here's another one. Good, I don't like it when you're defiant. He tweeted the day before you, excuse me. just, again, stuff that you wouldn't normally say to somebody. Here's one of them where May is saying that he had said, I love you back. And then she had a screenshot. And this one isn't like necessarily flirting, but it was something that was brought up because she's very firmly 17 in this. And he says, yo, I just wanted to know if we're good. I don't want to sound over dramatic or some dumb stuff, but it feels like you're high key ignoring and avoiding me. If something happened, let me know. I would love to talk. Feels like you've been ghosting me, brother. And then this is from me. You're ghosting me. May said, stop. And the dude said, what did I do? I'm sorry. And May said, my heart literally dropped for a second, not even kidding. And the dude sent like this breaking heart thing. If May is just a friend to the dude, I don't think that that's how they would have interacted with each other, given like a situation like this in a friendship. It's not matching that kind of vibe. It seems a bit more intimate than that. And again, that could just be reading into it, but we have all of the other instances to go off of anyway. Also, just keep in mind that as we're towing this line of Miss May going from 16 to 17 to 18, Eric is 8 years older than her. So it's not like it's like this like 19-year-old that met a 17-year-old that's on the cusp and we can get into that moral and ethical dilemma. He is 8 years over this. He was 23 and she was 15 when they met. Of course, I mean over Discord, not in person. After that, we have inappropriate closeness. So this is back in 2018. So again, 17. May says, so like, we're being honest here, Chief, okay? So I talked to Jared for an hour-ish today and he brought you up and my gay crush. Maybe I misunderstood this, but what he had told me is that you guys had talked about it in the past couple days or recently, and you said something along the lines of, May has absolutely no chance with me. I don't care if you did say that, but it just sounds like something Jared would say, and he brought it up after how he was salty that he was the last one to know about Wednesday. Plus, like, I don't know, it feels sketch since I legit brought up to you this week, and that's what Jared has been saying to me for a hot minute. The dude said, actually what happened was I asked Jared if you guys had talked about it recently, and he said no. That's literally the entirety of the conversation. So May said, bro, I'm actually gonna, and then like I love him for checking up on me and worrying about me in every other aspect, but I do not appreciate him trying to sabotage our friendship. And then this is a photo that was referenced in the first document where they're going to meet up for the dinner. And at the bottom here, May says, by the way, when I ride with my brother, the oldest y'all are 21 on God, nobody's 24. And keep in mind, this is July 2018, so they had just turned 17. And then this was sent over Discord with the date being November 24th, 2018. So again, very much so a 17-year-old, not even halfway through being a 17-year-old. And it's just a pretty nasty pic to be sending to a minor. And this is where we get into more of the sleep call proof. We've collected more proof of sleep calls happening when the victim was a minor. This information is also corroborated by friends that were around to see some of these happen in their friend group server called Alcatraz. Let us not forget the amount of times the dude called a minor a thought and a white man's whore. Some examples of this being in this Google Drive, calling a minor a thought. So first, we'll take a look at the sleep calls. So the first one we see here is May referencing, and keep in mind, this is May after they're 18, but they wanted to showcase this just to show that this is kind of just like a normal thing that would go on. But they added the do, we're going to bed, disconnect Laura since she fell asleep. And so this is showing that they're in, the open server in a server voice chat, and they disconnected someone else because they were going to bed together in the Discord channel. And like keeping the voice chat on. Keep in mind, I also recognize that this isn't showing them doing anything before they had turned, 18, but it is showing that it just seems to be that this is something that, was pretty comfortable as they were asking to remove people from it because they were going to, go to bed, and no one was like confused about that fact. And it seems like they just did it. Next up, we have the from January of 2019, which again would have been before they turned 18. Did you sleep? No. You ain't in Alcatraz. Want me to come back? Let me go eat real quick first. And this is at 12:50. So, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. It was silent. So I left. Message me when you're done. I'm back. And so it seems like they were joining together. Again, it's not directly saying, hey, let's like fall asleep on call together. But given the time frame and whatnot and what they're talking about with it being silent, seems to be what the assumption is. And here's a 2.5 hour call that, went on till looks like 1:14 at the very least, and it was still going. And then this is just that same, back and forth messaging. Did you sleep? No, this ain't an elk, or you ain't an elk, et cetera, back and forth. And I think that this was just kind of showing the timestamp for that. Then here's another call, 3:40 a.m., call that lasted 2 hours. Now, is any of this direct evidence that they were like asleep on these calls? No. Again, I think out of any of the information and evidence provided, this is the shakiest because we just don't have that completely, irrefutable evidence of, seeing them both on FaceTime passed out next to each other for hours on end. But based off of what we've seen, I think it's fair to kind of, read between the lines and see that what they're suggesting and like how other people didn't seem to like, really raise any awareness. Like when she's talking about, hey, disconnect this person. It wasn't like a, why would you do that? You guys are sleeping in call together. It was like a, oh, LMAO, I fell asleep. Didn't know. It's not, no one's batting an eye about it. It does seem like behavior that's already happened. But I recognize that that is me just making an extrapolation when they could have started doing it, the week before and it would have been fine. Take it with what you will. It seems to be that we're repeatedly seeing stuff that's pretty close. I also understand people not fully, buying in on this specific point either. And then here's him calling her as a 17-year-old thought. Hey, thanks, mom. Also, don't tell him what to do. Me, honestly, I'm getting confused with all these relationships. I'm your mom. Dooo think I'm your girlfriend. Jared says I'm your 1 mil plaque. Y'all need to make up your mind. The Dooo said, forgot thought. That's what you really are. Then again, oh, you think I'm a nice person. Thank you for the ego boost. You are good peoples. Thank you, Airwick, because I'm an emotional person. I swear from the bottom of my heart that you're actually one of the most caring and nicest persons I've ever met. That's how you compliment. OMFG, you gay. I'm blocking you again. LMAO, thank you, thought. I very much appreciate your kind words, but I already knew that. I'm incredible. You're welcome, son. Boyfriend. Plaque owner. Oh, stop boosting your own ego. This is why I never compliment you. Imagine letting a 17-year-old call you their boyfriend. I get there's a difference between someone doing that. Like if a minor came up to me and said that, I can't stop them from doing that. But what I can do is follow up and say, that's not okay. And let's get that clear since you're a child. I can't do that. It's weird that, we're letting this kind of stuff slide. And here's another one again when they're 17. Okay, join the open lobby room so I can explain this to you, not the one with people. All right, 2 secs. Sorry for yeeting out abruptly. Was getting late and I didn't want to wake up my family if it got much later. Also, you're a thought. Back to the doc. Many have said that it isn't grooming because they started dating when she was of age. While the last 4 Google Drive folders full of context, and the context that he had at least one explicit image of her saved on Snapchat almost 2 years ago, show you that there was certainly grooming happening to have her grow attached to him, we also know he told her around the time they started dating, which was about a month after she turned 18, that he has been fighting back feelings and that when he came on this trip that he didn't intend for any of this. I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm glad I did. Implying very heavily he had feelings for her when she was still a minor, way before the trip in question happened. Again, this man is almost 8 years older than her. That's not normal. I really wish our circumstances were different because I really have been fighting back feelings. Like when we left each other, I was really sad about not seeing you for 8 whole months. Yeah, nah, I'm seeing you before that. I don't care. When I came on this trip, I didn't intend for any of this. I wasn't going to tell you anything. Also, at this point, we both have to think about this, but I'm really about to just go with the flow and see what life has in store. But I'm glad I did. We should state that the legal definition of grooming as a whole does not specifically have to be sexual in nature, as that would fall under the category of sexual grooming. As defined by RAINN.org, grooming can take place online or in person, usually employed by a family member or someone else in the victim's circle of trust, such as a coach, teacher, youth group leader, or others who naturally have some interaction with the victim. In the online world, a YouTuber fulfills the same power position that a coach or teacher would in an in-person grooming environment. Grooming can happen to minors, young adults, and vulnerable adults for sexual, financial, or other illegal reasons and goals. As stated several times now, if Blarg had taken up a call with the victim, the Doo's ex-IRL friends, and the Goon's Discord staff, he would have seen more than enough evidence that, when connected, shows a pretty clear case of grooming. Just because this situation didn't end in IRL sexual acts doesn't mean it's not grooming, because he certainly intended to have it end that way, and that is also something Blarg would have heard and seen if he had been open to a call he got offered on numerous occasions. Being groomed with the goal of sexual acts once the victim is 18 is unfortunately quite the norm for online grooming cases. This call would have also included the victim talking about her doing things because the Doo preferred it. For example, with her appearance, essentially shaping her into the person he would later date once she turned 18, including the Doo telling her not to tell her parents about certain big life decisions, including applying to a school in his state. Isolating a victim from their family on an emotional level is already a sign of grooming. Encouraging them to be physically distant from their family is an even bigger sign of grooming. We cannot overstate how much just one call with the victim had all the people that are signing off on this document in agreement that this is a blatant case of grooming. We also know that if any Goons member had been open to contact with ex-mods of the Doo or his ex-IRL friends, they would have had several people confirm situations such as the sleep calls, and on one occasion, the Doo making the creepy joke, I waited until you were 18, unlike what Carson did while mods were around. Some things simply can't be conveyed in a document, not even this one. Since part of the Goon's Discord staff and other signers of this document have seen what was sent and have seen all the other context that Blarg would have gotten from getting into a call with the victim, we know the victim is being truthful about these allegations. While most people agree the public document was put together in a hasty and chaotic way, having seen what we have seen, it is without a doubt a very real and traumatizing experience that the victim went through. While we're on the topic of where the victim's document fell short, we'd also like to note that the reason many of the victim's screenshots said today in our own document is that she had backed up her screenshots and other images frequently back then. Of course, someone young with a crush on another person will take screenshots of friendly or flirty interactions and show them to their girlfriends. We got to see the page where they were backed up for ourselves and confirmed the dates for several of the images, as well as the fact that a lot of the other stuff was backed up by the victim back then that doesn't pertain to the Dooo or Discord. Our belief of this being a real case of grooming is also backed by the sheer amount of people that have corroborated in investigating the situation and with the proof provided, because they were actively around to witness the things mentioned, such as the sleep calls and the inappropriate flirting. Original members of the Dooo Cord, original mods of the Dooo Cord, and even some current members of the staff can testify to the reality and severity of this incident. We're now getting into the last part of the document. Corroborations from ex-friends of the Dooo. Below are some people that knew both the victim and the Dooo back then, confirming that there was, in fact, a highly inappropriate relationship developing between them, those being the Dooo and the underage victim. Ricky and Kevin were friends with the Dooo for several years before dropping their friendship with him after finding out about the inappropriate nature of the relationship and the clear grooming. Several members involved with this document got to see their old group chat on iMessages and on Snapchat and added it to this folder with extra proof. This folder also shows the other testimonies that we're about to read through, so if you guys want to, again, get onto the document, you can check those out and read them at your own pace as well. The first one we're seeing here is Kevin. I've known the dude since a little while after the release of Black Ops 2. I definitely knew him the longest out of our friend group. We were great friends before he blew up on YouTube. I don't know if it was the fame or relationship with May that he stopped hanging out with us as much. At some point, he'd spend a few days just to message me back. I had no idea why, since I didn't know about the relationship since our trip. It seemed wrong, but I had no idea when or what happened leading up to that point. As soon as I knew, I kicked him from my personal friends server, the guy I knew since late 2012. Little over 9 years of friendship gone. Here's what Clarity said. Proof of them being active in the friend group back then is in the Google Drive again. Alcatraz is the server of friends that the Dooo was also on back then. I used to be a moderator for Dooccord back in 2017 and 2018, and was also in Alcatraz. I was friends with May and talked to her frequently during that time. I also talked to Eric a decent amount. She never talked to me about her relationship with Eric, but I knew she had a crush on him, like a harmless schoolgirl crush. I knew they would be in public calls a lot, but didn't know how much they were really talking. I also didn't know that Eric was reciprocating May's feelings. The way that Eric talked to me was friendly and like an adult talking to an adult. From what I can remember, he never called me any offensive names and treated me like a friend/acquaintance. I ended up leaving Alcatraz before things got more serious between May and Eric. I didn't find out about how serious things actually got between them until after the relationship ended. I absolutely support May and the evidence she's provided. The person messaging them said, "Thank you so much, that is incredibly helpful. I'd like to add one question. You mentioned the fact that he talked to you like an adult and not giving you offensive names because that is what he did with May, meaning he treated specifically her like this, correct?" Clarity responds, "Yes. Her Discord name got changed a lot to offensive things. Can't remember any specifically. And from the evidence May had posted, I don't remember him ever calling me those kinds of things. In like DMs and messages, he wouldn't necessarily try to be as edgy, use crude humor or offensive jokes as it seemed like he was with May or as he was in Alcatraz." Here's what Jordan said. Proof of him again being active in the friend group back then is in the Google Drive. "Hey, sorry, I completely forgot because I'd been so busy. I knew May back at the time when she and Eric had dated. I was also around before that time when Eric and May would talk with each other frequently, despite the massive age gap and her being underage at the time. I can corroborate the relationship they had when she was a minor. Whether it be romantic or not, it should always be considered inappropriate to spend as much time and attention as they did with the type of relationship they had. I remember when she told me about them being together and I was immediately disgusted and made it known that I found it creepy. From then on, I had a falling out with May for reasons I can't recall, but I still heard of her breakup with Eric from either mutual friends or herself. It's hard to remember. Last thing I have to say is that I support her, and I can personally attest to the screenshots not being manipulated. Simplified, he thought of the level of closeness as inappropriate when she was still a minor and found it disgusting when they officially dated once she turned 18 because of the giant age gap and previous closeness. Another person who could corroborate a lot for us was Stav, who is also the victim's close friend, so we want to add that as a disclaimer. However, with her being a mod on the Dooo server around the time of all this happening, it is still important input to add to this document. StavyPie says, I knew May. Through Eric's Discord server Dooccord, I started off as an active member and then got close with most of the staff, which led to me getting mod. Through that time, I started to realize their relationship was more than just admin and owner. I then became closer to May and the admins, which then revealed to me that they were dating, and she would share with us stuff going on in their relationship. He would join VCs at times, showing clear affection to her. This was in a private or mod/staff VC. When I became close friends with her, that's when details started coming out about their relationship, and the whole Discord had speculations on them dating when she was still 17. He said a lot of inappropriate things to her at the time that we all played off as jokes because we didn't know how deep their relationship was. He said to her that he started seeing her as a woman when she was still under 18, and he said it was when she was developing physically, getting large breasts and figure. After they broke up, she shared with me and a few other people all the information about the relationship. And that's when we saw how bad it was. When we, the close friends, found out, we urged her to cut ties and leave the server, which was a hard decision. After a lot of courage and then sharing with most of the staff what was going on, we all left Dooccord in support of May, as well as we didn't want to support someone like that. He used to say so much to her in private about how she should never come out with the stuff about the relationship and how it would ruin him if people found out. He knew the consequences of his actions, he knew it was wrong, and yet he continued it. And the last one comes from Duck, who knew the victim since 2015, became a mod on Dooccord, and then witnessed the Doo's inappropriate conduct around the time May was 16 to 18. Duck says, I met May back in 2015. I knew that May and Eric were close, but I didn't know the extent until I got closer with her after I became a mod in Dooccord. The stuff that was said from his behalf was insane to me. I told her that this relationship wasn't right, but Eric is super manipulative, so he was able to get what he wanted. I remember when he would join the VC for like 2 seconds and just be like, May, I need to talk to you in private. They would then sit in that VC for hours on hours in a voice chat that no one can join. I found it creepy due to the fact that he would call her cute and beautiful from time to time in front of everyone. Shit was just creepy. When we would all be playing games, he would call her and make sure that she would stay on the phone with him so she would be in the background. She would have to mute her mic every time that he wanted to talk. She's told me a lot of the stuff that has happened between them when no one was there. He was talking some crazy shit that she showed me screenshots of during that time, like them sleeping on the phone together and shit. Like, nah, she a minor. I know that shit just doesn't sit right with me. As much as I wanted to come out about all of this, I couldn't at the time because she didn't want it to come out, so I respected her wishes. But I always knew what kind of creep he was. But let's not forget the fact he would like to say she has a voice of an angel in voice chat. After all this, we got May to block him on everything to finally heal from his toxic ass blank. This once again backs up that a majority of the old server staff left back in around 2021 when they found out about all this going deeper than they had initially suspected. The only reason the issue wasn't raised back then was because the victim wanted it to not be public and move on. This just further shows how the only reason we're talking about it now in September 2024 is the person that doxed her on Reddit in August. There are more people that we know that would be willing to corroborate information, but we focused on the people that were closest to the situation. Finally, McNasty's lack of response to mods and our resignation as longtime Goons Discord staff. For those who don't know, McNasty is another very big part of the Goons squad. During all this, we have also attempted to contact McNasty, who the Goons Discord server belongs to. Several times initially, the server staff wanted input on how to handle the situation on the server and wanted to see if he would like to potentially see some of the proof himself. To this day, the messages from the staff have remained unanswered. This is why all Goons staff members that were involved with this situation, knowing its severity and have seen firsthand the honesty the victim has shown throughout this incident, are stepping down as staff members together. Here is that evidence of them in the Discord reaching out saying, hey McNasty, the Discord mods would like to talk again. We're kind of lost on what to do with what's coming out about the Dooo. Also, the mods in the Dooccord are pinning jokes about the situation. I'm being DM'd personally about what's going on. So if you come back for a talk real quick, please do. And someone else saying, I'm going to second this. We've been kind of on standby about the situation. They're adding McNasty, and again, nothing has come out. And this is just showing a screenshot of the community group with McNasty being in it. We cannot, with good conscience, support these repeated inactions from the Goons members and the vehement refusal to have an open and full conversation with both us and the victim, who has now officially stepped away from this for her own safety and mental health and her loved one's safety after being doxxed further and receiving countless death threats. We can't ignore that the two most vocally anti-groomer and pro-victim Goons members have undoubtedly and entirely failed the victim in several ways, by refusing a call or further personal investigations with her friends who can corroborate some of the evidence, and with the Goons staff member, including helpers who were both directly provided more of the evidence. The victim was forced to clear her story after being doxxed, and due to the Dooo openly denying the allegations from said doxer. With those circumstances in mind, the fact she was never given the chance to be listened to fully in a supportive environment is something we disagree with wholeheartedly. We want to see this situation resolved. Since the victim currently deserves a break after hearing her entire story publicly dismissed several times, we hereby invite any Goons member to a call with people involved with the document to help resolve the situation in a way that is agreeable to all sides involved. The signees include people you have worked with prior and have proven their professionalism, members of your community that have been around from the start, and a social worker that is equipped for such conversations. If any members of the Goons group would like to take up this offer, please reach out through your recognizable business email to the following. And then lastly, this statement is signed by the following Goons Discord staff members and several other active community members that have spent the time to investigate further, heard out the victim, and saw more than enough evidence that indicates the Dooo has been directly involved with the grooming of a minor. Mother, or Cinemahu, Goons Discord head admin, active since 2019-2020. Snurdo, who's a Goons mod, Twitter community mod, YouTube icon and banner artist for Blarg, and McFoxy, U2's designer. And then L Subdemons, Goons mod, active since 2020. Rayo, social worker in sexual violence prevention and response. And Soothsayer, witness and helper of the Goons staff listed above. And then they also provided the Google Drive folders that have been mentioned in the document, and it's got all of it in that link there. And then lastly, PS. Age of consent based on their respective states does not matter. The fact that this cross state lines means the federal age of consent applies, which is 18. Stop explaining these things away with local laws that you know have already failed more than enough victims. Please stop saying 17/18 is old enough to know something is wrong. There's a reason grooming has its own classification. It's psychologically complex and a form of manipulation. So this is a lot. This is very hefty. I highly recommend, if you're on the fence, go read through this. Go through the documentation yourself. Again, there is some stuff that I didn't include just for the sake of time, because this is already going to be a very long video. I think it's very clear to see that based on how this document is written, that there's a very, very clear emotional bias in light of the victim. I don't blame them. Based off the evidence, their side makes the most sense. I'm very interested to see what any other response is going to be outside of just outright denying the initial allegations that were put out by the person who doxed Miss May. But until we have that, based on what seems to be overwhelming information and evidence that was provided by Miss May to these people, which can be corroborated multiple times through different people, the allegations that they are bringing forth come across as being very much indicative of the fact that the Dooo groomed Miss May. Personally, where my bias, I think, gets in the way the most is how Blarg handled this situation. I struggled to find any legitimate reason that Blarg would behave the way he did outside of being, like I said already, a colossal dumbass, or doing it in a malicious way because he just wants his friend not to have done this thing. And is trying to, although he refuted this multiple times, looks like he's just trying to save his ass. I'm baffled that, McNasty hasn't responded to any of this. I'm also curious to see, what the Dooo has to say. Obviously, Cody Co has proven that it works to just keep your mouth shut. But at the end of the day, it's up to you guys to make your decisions based off of what you've seen. Last thing that I want to leave you with, the members that have expressed that they will be stepping down, while I was recording this video, released this message on the Goons Discord server. TLDR, the staff named in this message believe the allegations that the Dooo groomed May, who came out about it very recently. Our own investigation into the situation has shown us that the Goons have not investigated this as thoroughly as they should have. Several Goons Discord staff members are stepping down in response to this all, and all of it is outlined in this document, including more proof and corroboration from different sources. We cannot stand here and continue upholding the Goons brand while they have failed the victim entirely by making no attempt to actually listen to her or anyone that was open to corroborate information. While the Goons might want to cover for their friend through lackluster investigation and claiming that joining a call would be biased, we do not. We stand with the victim, have done the investigation the Goons should have done weeks ago, and have offered in the linked document to facilitate a way to resolve this situation with members of the Goons. We hope the situation will get a chance to be resolved instead of being brushed off for a third time. Your resigning Goons Discord staff. Mother, aka Cinemahu, Goons Discord head admin. Ozzy, aka Snurdo, Goons mod, Twitter community mod, artist hired, and L, aka Subdemons, Goons mod active since 2020. If you guys have questions or want to, discuss with me in the comments down below, feel free to. I'm willing to have a conversation, and if you're above the age of 18, come join the Discord, and we can also chat about it. Hopefully this reaches enough people and gets enough traction that we're able to actually have a reason for the Dooo or McNasty or any of the other goons coming out to actually speak on this matter. Adios. See you guys later. Bye.